It is UK Football Media Day, and we are happy to be joined on the phone by – all right, first of all, Will, I want to make sure I get this right because I've heard it pronounced three different ways. Tell me how to say your last name 100% correctly.
It's Levis.
Will Levis. There we go. Transfer quarterback from Penn State, now here at Kentucky. I'll start with this, Will. I generally think you've been working out with the team for a long time, but generally Media Day is really the start of football for all intents and purposes for us as fans. Are you excited to get going this fall?
Oh, my gosh, very excited. Yeah, I mean, workouts are fun. It's been great to get in shape and get to know the team throughout the summer, but, I mean, I came here to play football, and we're just getting started to do that, so excited to get the pads on and excited to start playing.
Well, walk me through your decision to come here, because I think I heard your name as coming here 24 hours before you announced it. I mean, normally we sort of know guys who are considering it, and you all of a sudden were just here. So walk me through how you ended up in Lexington.
Well, it started when I entered the transfer portal and decided to leave Penn State. That was a whole process of its own, but when that decision was made, schools started reaching out to me, and Kentucky was one of the first schools that had reached out to me, and started to get to know the school, get to know the coaches, get to know just how the program and its path has been and what its path and trajectory are for the future. And when I started to kind of consider all things, I really started to understand that this opportunity was definitely the one for me, and I wanted to jump on it as soon as I could. So it was a relatively quick process, and after just considering my other options and talking to the coaches and seeing and trying to decide what would be best for me in my future, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So ended up coming here and haven't looked back since.
Was Liam Coen a part of your decision? I'm sure he was a little bit. Tell me about your sort of knowledge of him, and then what's it like as an offense? I mean, we as fans are learning about him at the same time. What are we going to see with the new offense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Liam's a New England guy, and so right off the bat, in my first conversation with him, we had that connection, which was pretty cool. And just from an offensive standpoint, that's really what I was looking for. This was a football decision. I wanted to make a decision that would set me up, or what I believed would set me up to help me get to my ultimate goal, which is to play in the NFL and to play football professionally and at a high level. And with a coach like Coach Coen and an offense that he was going to implement, and what he expects out of the quarterback and what's going to be demanded out of us for the offense, it's definitely setting up us as quarterbacks to prepare us for that next level, which was really, really valuable. So just I had that connection personally with Coach Coen, just with where he's from. He actually recruited me a little bit coming out of high school when he was coaching at UMaine, I believe, and before he left to take the job at with the Rams. And yeah, so just we had a really good relationship from the start, and only got better the more and more we talked. And just on top of that, just the offense and what he wanted out of us at quarterback really spoke to me.
Do I saw that you said in an interview you were comparing sort of, well, let me go back a second. Penn State is kind of considered one of the sort of gold standards of football. When Kentucky beat them a few years ago in the Citrus Bowl, it was a huge thing for this program. And you were saying, I saw in an interview, that in terms of facilities and et cetera, that you think Kentucky is right there with Penn State, if not ahead. Do you mind speaking on that? Because I found that really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you look around, I know some websites throw out lists. Speaking just like facilities-wise, I think Kentucky is constantly in the top 10, 15, at least top 20 facilities in the country, just with how new they are and up-to-date they are. But, yeah, I mean, the facilities here are on par with, if not better than, that Penn State. And everything, just with how the program is run, I've been very, very impressed with, and I've been very comfortable with, and has everything that any player needs to succeed and get better and perfect their craft. So I can't thank the program enough for putting that investment in for our players, and it's definitely paying off for us, and I think it's definitely going to help us in the long run.
Tell me what it's like. I'm not going to get you to say where you think you are in the battle, but what's it like to battle for that starting position? I know you did it some at Penn State, but now you're in there with a number of quarterbacks. the coaches have said it's a battle for first place. What's it like every day coming to practice knowing you got a battle for that job?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it's nothing new to me. I've experienced this in my past couple of years at Penn State, and it really doesn't change anything. I think that regardless if you're projected to be the starting quarterback or if you're going to be last on the depth chart, if you want to be the best you can, you got to prepare the same regardless. So that's kind of how my approach has been the past few years. I think obviously just with different faces, it kind of makes things a little different. But luckily, all the guys in this room are very supportive of each other. There's really no tension between all of us, and at the end of the day, we're just going out there to play football, and the coaches are going to decide who's going to start and who's going to play. So if you kind of throw that out the window, you throw that stress about the decision and ultimately who's going to be the starter out the window, then playing the game just feels a lot easier, and you're just going out there to execute, have fun, and compete. So not a lot of stress. It's not something I'm not used to. And I'm just excited to kind of get rolling with practice.
So tell me about these guys you got on the team. I mean, Wandale Robinson, we all know from high school, but obviously as a transfer, you've got Chris Rodriguez, the offensive line. What are you seeing on the on your offensive cohorts?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to practice with these guys, but going back and watching the spring tape, we really do have some great weapons all around the offense. I mean, I'll start with the O-line, like you mentioned. I think that every media outlet, rankings and stuff, they'll tell you how impressive they are. But we really are a great unit up front, and that's where it all starts. And we got a great, solid group of guys, not only just the starters, but people that are able to rotate in, come in, and play really, really solidly up there up front. And that's so important, and that's something that I was also looking for in my recruiting process, and I mean in the transfer process. And that was a great bonus that Kentucky was able to offer some returners and some guys with experience at the O-line position. And then looking at the running backs, obviously Chris is coming off a great season, and hope to have a promising one this year as well. And he's going to be solid. And we got Tom McClain, Kavasius Smoke, both also going to be really good guys for us. And at receiver, you mentioned Wandale, Josh Ali, Vet, who's coming back, who's definitely going to be there and helping all the younger dudes and anyone that might have questions. He's been really good at keeping at his stuff and just getting in that extra work and just being that older guy in the group to turn to. So I've been impressed with him as well. And then obviously at tight end, the loss of Keaton hurts a little bit, but hopefully he's able to recover and come back for next year. But we still have a couple of really solid tight ends in Brendan Bates and Justin Rigg as well. And I'm excited to start practicing with them, but everything I've seen from them in the off season has really led me to believe that they're going to be able to make some plays for us, and they're going to be able to do anything that we ask out of them at the tight end position. So all around as an offense, I'm really excited about what we got, and don't know too much about the defensive side. I mean, I'm not too focused on that other than trying to throw touchdowns against them in practice, but I think we're going to have a solid team, and I'm just looking forward to getting better throughout this summer training camp, and then hopefully show out once the season starts.
Over the years, I'm used to listening to Kentucky players talk in a lot of different forums, but I don't think I've ever listened to a player speak on a financial advice podcast until I heard yours. How in the world did you end up on that, and is that like one of your things, sort of playing the stock market?
Well, Quentin, if you're listening, I thank him for thinking of me, for having me on his podcast. And it kind of happened with all this NIL stuff coming about and being able to have opportunities like that to appear on podcasts and talk to people for maybe a little financial gain. And then, funny enough, like talking about financials a little bit. But I was a finance major at Penn State. Something I went in. I wanted to be a business major. I wanted to challenge myself and do the hardest degree I could in that school, and ended up being finance, and really enjoyed my classes. And I'm not a huge studier or player in the market. I mean, I have a small portfolio that I like to contribute to every once in a while, but just don't have a huge steady source of income at the moment. But hopefully here in the near future that might change, and can get a little more invested into it. So
I can say definitively though. I can say definitively, Will, you're the first player I've ever interviewed that said he had a small portfolio that he uses on his. That's not a normal thing that I hear interviewing UK football players over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few guys in the team that are players in the stock market a little bit, but yeah, I mean, hopefully I can turn that small one into a big one here at some point.
All right, Ryan Lemon, I always let finish with one question. Give us a question for quarterback Will Levis.
Hey, Will. First of all, you and I look a lot alike. When I look in the mirror, I see myself looking back at me. I see you looking back at me. So, we've not get a chance to see you yet in a Kentucky uniform. But what skills do you have that maybe give you an edge over the guys you're competing with? Like, what do you think you do that the coaches may select you then to be the starter?
I think. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, I have a little more experience than the other dudes, which definitely helps. And just with being able to get reps in games and a couple starts under my belt as well. But in terms of physical attributes, I mean, I have the arm strength for any kind of throw that's needed, and also have the athleticism to get out of the pocket and make plays with my legs. So those are two things that I think are big pieces of my game that are going to help me in whatever competition that I find myself in.
Will Levis, UK quarterback. Enjoy Media Day, Fan Day tomorrow, and then good luck with camp, and we will see you down the road.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me, Matt.